Nervous system turbulence. Once the shadow rises, the body starts screaming what the soul has been whispering for years. Awakening doesn't just rewrite your mind, it rewires your biology. Suddenly, your heart races out of nowhere, your skin tingles, sounds feel too loud, and your whole body seems to buzz with invisible electricity. People often mistake this for illness or overthinking, but it's really the nervous system trying to catch up with the level of awareness now flooding through it. You're no longer numbing or compartmentalizing. Every suppressed reaction, every stored surge of adrenaline, is finally coming online. From a psychological view, this makes perfect sense. When old patterns dissolve, the nervous system loses its predictable feedback loops. It's used to certain emotional scripts. Stress equals coffee, sadness equals distraction, anger equals denial. Awakening erases those programs. Without those habitual responses, your brain registers uncertainty as danger. The sympathetic nervous system roars to life. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You might feel claustrophobic in crowds, hypersensitive to noise, even dizzy from simple tasks. It's your body recalibrating after years of emotional autopilot. The paradox is that awakening the mind often feels like breaking the body, when in truth, it's finally learning to speak. Neuroscience backs this up. When we process trauma, or even rapid psychological change, the brain releases stress hormones while pruning old neural connections. It's called neuroplastic adaptation. Functional MRI studies show heightened activity in the amygdala, the fear center, while the prefrontal cortex temporarily slows down. Translation: your emotional volume is turned to maximum while rational control takes a back seat. That's why you cry over commercials, lose track of time, or feel like your brain's buffer is full. The system is literally reconfiguring itself for a new mode of consciousness. Physically, that reconfiguration can look chaotic. Adrenaline surges hit without warning. Cortisol cycles become irregular, leading to insomnia and wild swings between exhaustion and wired alertness. The digestive system, often called the second brain, also joins in. You might crave strange foods or lose appetite altogether. None of this means you're broken. It means deeper physiological systems are participating in the transformation. Your body isn't sabotaging your spirituality. It's translating it into muscle, breath, and heartbeat. When these waves hit, the instinct is panic. We run to doctors, Google every symptom, assume something's gone terribly wrong. Of course, medical checks are wise. You want to rule out genuine health issues, but often, the diagnosis comes back stress-related. That phrase sounds dismissive, but it's accurate. Enormous energetic change is stress. The nervous system interprets inner awakening the same way it interprets external catastrophe. The good news is, you can teach it otherwise through conscious regulation. Start small. When you notice your heart racing, don't try to meditate it away. Instead, anchor the body first. Feel your feet press against the ground. Name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear. This grounds perception in the present, signaling safety to the threat-sensitive parts of the brain. Then, lengthen your exhale. Make it at least 2 beats longer than the inhale. That tiny timing difference taps the vagus nerve, your body's internal chill switch. Within 30 seconds, your heart rate and blood pressure begin to recalibrate. Ancient breath work wasn't spiritual theater. It was early access neuroscience. They just called it prayer instead of vagal tone optimization. Body awareness extends beyond breathing. Notice microsensations, the temperature of your skin, the texture of clothing, the subtle vibration coursing through hands and feet during heightened emotion. Observing without labeling teaches your system that intensity is safe. Over time, emotional floods no longer escalate into panic, because the body learns to remain present through motion. Modern trauma therapists call this titration, meeting intensity in digestible doses until resilience is rebuilt. Awakening uses the same principle. Small moments of embodied presence rewire an overloaded system. Ritual helps too, but not the elaborate kind that becomes another avoidance technique. Simple rhythm anchors the brain. Morning walks without phones, warm showers taken consciously, eating one meal slowly each day, while paying attention to taste. All tell your vagus nerve, the body's main relaxation pathway, that life is stable even while perception changes. Think of these as grounding rituals, rather than spiritual performance. The nervous system trusts repetition. Every calm signal you send becomes data that safety still exists. This period also reveals how closely mind and body collude in repression. Maybe your shoulders clench when you recall a childhood memory, or your stomach knots before uncomfortable conversations. These patterns aren't random, they're muscle memories of past fear. During awakening, those memories thaw. The shaking, the tears, the random body heat. These are release mechanisms. Animals do this naturally. They tremble after escaping predators to complete the stress cycle. Humans, conditioned to stay composed, rarely finish that loop. Awakening reopens it, inviting the body to discharge years of stored tension, so energy can flow again. If you've ever wondered why certain spiritual experiences feel euphoric one moment and unbearable the next, that's your nervous system swinging from sympathetic overdrive to parasympathetic release. It's the same polarity found in trauma healing, contraction followed by expansion. The trick is to ride the wave rather than chase one state. Don't cling to bliss or resist chaos. Both are feedback signals guiding equilibrium. In short, you're not broken. You're learning emotional surfing. The goal isn't to flatten the waves, it's to build balance while you ride them. When the body finally realizes it can handle both the highs and the lows, genuine peace stops being a theory and starts being muscle memory. In these storms, mindset matters. If you meet physical turbulence with fear, the cycle amplifies. The amygdala hears danger and pumps more adrenaline. Instead, practice a simple reframe. My body is not betraying me. It's reorganizing for greater awareness. Say it out loud when panic rises. This shifts the narrative from helplessness to participation. Suddenly, every tremor, pulse, or tear becomes proof that you're evolving, not unraveling. Some find relief through movement. Yoga, stretching, dance, or even mindful cleaning. Rhythmic, repetitive motion engages both hemispheres of the brain, helping new neural links form. Others prefer stillness, but even there, allow micro-movement, breath expanding the ribs, tiny shifts of posture. Suppressing motion to look serene, ironically stalls regulation. Remember, awakening isn't aesthetic, it's biological honesty. Community matters here too. Nervous system regulation is contagious. It mirrors other states. Being around calm, grounded people physically entrains your own rhythm through subtle cues like breathing pace and tone of voice. This is why many traditions emphasize Sangha, or spiritual community, not for doctrine, but for co-regulation. You borrow nervous system stability from others until your own system memorizes peace. I once coached someone who described constant buzzing in their spine during meditation. They feared nerve damage. Medical scans showed nothing. When we practiced grounding, pressing feet into the earth, slow exhalations, sensory awareness, the buzzing reduced drastically. What felt supernatural was simply unprocessed energy moving through nerve pathways and used to that volume. Awareness turned fear into curiosity, and curiosity into healing. So if your awakening feels like your body's short-circuiting, know this: you're not broken. You're rebooting on a cellular level. Each surge, tremor, and sleepless night is the nervous system clearing static left by years of repression. The chaos isn't failure. It's evidence of expansion happening faster than the body's language can describe. Breathe. Move gently. Stay present. Eventually, the same body that once trembled with panic becomes the instrument of calm, fluent in a new rhythm of living truth. Once you can ride these physical waves, you start hearing the deeper story your pain has been trying to tell all along. The collapse of meaning. After the body learns to survive the storm, a quieter but heavier phase arrives, the collapse of meaning. It feels like the lights go out inside you even though everything outside seems normal. You wake up, go through routines, talk to people, but it's as if you're performing life instead of participating in it. Nothing feels real or worthwhile. The passions that used to drive you suddenly lose flavor, and spiritual language that once comforted you now sounds hollow. This is the phase mystics and psychologists alike describe as the void, and it's one of the most misunderstood experiences on the path. To your ego, this emptiness feels like failure. You assume the process has gone wrong because motivation and joy vanish. But from a psychological standpoint, what's collapsing isn't life, it's the personality's meaning-making structure. The mind's constant drive to label events as good, bad, progress, or setback loses fuel. That machinery provided direction for years: goals, identities, ambitions. Now, in the absence of those narratives, existence looks meaningless. Yet that meaninglessness is precisely what allows deeper meaning to emerge later. The psyche can't be rewritten while old scripts still run. So life presses delete first. This blankness often mimics depression. You may experience numbness, fatigue, or loss of interest, all symptoms familiar to mental health research. But there's a subtle difference. In depression, the self collapses under hopelessness. In awakening, it collapses under insight. You see through your own illusions so thoroughly that old motivations evaporate. There's grief, yes, but also a strange clarity. It's like discovering the set of a play you starred in has been dismantled overnight, and realizing the audience was never real either. The ego's rehearsal of purpose is over, and pure awareness is staring at an empty stage. People in this phase often panic and reach for substitutes. They change jobs, relationships, beliefs, anything to recapture a sense of purpose. But forcing new meaning too soon is like painting on wet plaster. It won't stick. The psyche needs time to dry out from overstimulation. When you resist the void, you prolong it. When you let yourself fall into it, something paradoxical happens. The silence that terrified you begins to feel clean, even protective. The absence of meaning becomes its own training ground for presence. Think of this as the purification zone. All previous attachments to identity and outcome dissolve, so that authentic purpose can rise without agenda. It's psychological alchemy. The impurities burn off before new gold can form. At first, it feels brutally empty, as if the universe has ghosted you. But eventually, the mind stops searching for cosmic emails and starts listening to the faint hum of being itself. That hum is the raw baseline from which genuine curiosity and inspiration later return, stripped of false urgency. Clinically, there's a reason clarity follows collapse. Studies in cognitive neuroscience show that the brain rebalances dopamine pathways after periods of intense stress or novelty loss. When familiar reward cues disappear, the system temporarily downshifts, conserving energy while recalibrating. This neurobiological reset feels like apathy, but enables more nuanced motivation later. Spiritual traditions intuited this long ago, naming it the dark night of the soul, or holy desolation. The brain calls it neuroadaptive recovery. Mystics call it grace in disguise. Different language, same function. Integration through stillness. During this void, time behaves strangely. Days stretch, conversations feel distant, even colors seem muted. The intellectual mind can't find traction because life's usual emotional anchors have come undone. You might cry without sadness or laugh without reason. These spontaneous swings are the psyche clearing out residual charge from old meaning systems. Each wave empties you a bit more until silence feels less like punishment and more like breathing room. If you resist analyzing it, the process unfolds naturally, awareness unburdened by interpretation. A small story illustrates this. Years ago, a man I worked with, let's call him Daniel, hit this phase after losing everything that had defined him. Career gone, friends distant, spiritual practices useless. He described it as grey noise stretching for months. But one afternoon, while washing dishes, he suddenly noticed the texture of the water, the glint of sunlight on the plates. For the first time, there was presence without trying. No lesson, no achievement, just quiet engagement with the moment. That simple awareness became the seed of his new meaning. Not what he did, but how he inhabited each act. The void had reset his perception from striving to seeing. This micro-story highlights the hidden blessing of collapse. When grand ideals and lofty missions burn out, subtle purpose seeps back through ordinary life. You stop needing the universe to validate you because existence itself becomes enough feedback. Purpose shrinks from cosmic job description to simple participation. Eat when hungry, rest when tired, help when moved. The intellect calls that banal. The heart calls it peace disguised as simplicity. Of course, some days the emptiness still hurts. You'll wonder if joy will ever return. The trick is to stop demanding that feeling as proof you're on track. Expecting happiness during this stage is like expecting a seed to sprout while it's still cracking open underground. The dark pressure is part of the process. You can't rush germination by shouting affirmations at the soil. Trust that absence is doing unseen work, eroding the old egoic crust so new growth can break through when conditions are ready. As meaning disintegrates, subtle anxiety often arises. If nothing matters, why go on? Here's the crucial insight. Nothing matters to the ego, but to awareness itself. Everything is luminous simply by existing. A flower, a breath, a memory. They don't need narrative to justify being. When you glimpse this direct appreciation, despair loses grip. You realize life doesn't need your interpretation to be sacred. It already is. The loss of constructed meaning exposes intrinsic meaning, which was hidden behind labels the whole time. Slowly, vitality returns, first as faint interest, then as genuine engagement. You start exploring not out of compulsion, but curiosity. The difference is subtle yet life-changing. Curiosity contains humility. Expectation contains control. Meaning built from curiosity can bend with life's changes without breaking. That's how authentic purpose begins, born from surrender, not from demand. So if you find yourself staring into the grey fog of indifference, don't assume you've fallen off the path. You're in its silent core. Every desolation has a hidden architecture constructing new capacity for depth. When beliefs and ambitions crumble, space opens for direct experience, unfiltered by identity. The void isn't the end of your awakening. It's the clearing of ground before new truth can take root. When meaning collapses, the only thing left to find is truth unfiltered by identity. Integration, meeting the shadow with light. When the chaos finally begins to slow, there's this fragile gap, a breath between storms, where you realize destruction was never the point. It was preparation. Integration starts here, in the ashes, when you've seen every ugly truth, but haven't yet learned how to live with it. This is where the real work begins. Taking all the scattered pieces of yourself and learning not to glue them back into their old shapes, but to hold them together with awareness. Integration means welcoming every part that surfaced during awakening. The frightened child, the critic, the perfectionist, the skeptic, and giving each a seat at the table. You're not trying to exorcise them, you're trying to include them. Spiritual maturity isn't about becoming pure light. It's about staying human while remembering you're more than human. Every emotion, every contradiction, is raw material for wholeness. The question shifts from, how do I get rid of this? To, how do I take care of this? Why does this matter psychologically? Because repression divides energy. When you exile parts of yourself, you spend your entire life managing the tension between who you are and who you think you should be. Integration resolves that war. It's the nervous system learning that safety exists even while imperfection does. The moment you stop attacking your own psyche, all that trapped energy becomes creativity, empathy, and presence. It's less like healing a wound and more like reacquainting yourself with limbs you forgot you had. Let's make this practical. The first tool of integration is awareness without analysis. When a trigger hits, say someone criticizes you and anger flares, pause before explaining it away. Feel the heat. Notice where it lands in your body: throat, chest, stomach. Breathe into that spot without commentary. The goal isn't to release the anger, but to relate to it consciously. Emotions metabolize when seen clearly. Suppression or dramatization keep them stuck. Integration, therefore, isn't self-control, it's self-contact. A second tool is dialogue. Write to your emotions as if they were people. Dear fear, what are you protecting me from? Then listen intuitively to what surfaces. Maybe fear answers, I just don't want you humiliated again. That single insight can soften years of resistance. You realize the inner saboteur was never cruel. It was protective in primitive ways. Bringing curiosity here replaces moral judgment with compassion. The psyche relaxes under that warmth. Defensive loops unwind naturally. Third, practice somatic anchoring. Every insight needs a body connection, or it evaporates into theory. After shadow work or emotional release, ground yourself physically. Touch something textured, drink water slowly, walk barefoot if possible. Let the body know the present is safe. Remember, awareness expands through cells, not just thoughts. Each embodied pause turns understanding into physiology, the true integration point between psychology and spirit. This phase also redefines what peace actually is. The old peace was conditional. I'll be calm when nothing triggers me. The new peace is relational. I can stay connected even when triggered. It's not about erasing pain, but staying spacious around it. Imagine standing in a storm, feeling rain hit your skin, wind roar in your ears, and realizing none of it diminishes your capacity to observe.